back to World Crisis Radio. The fortunes of Obama look bad. The second wave of the Depression now hitting is obviously politically very damaging for Obama and his claims to have started a recovery. He needed to act against the actual evils that created the Wall Street panic, the hedge funds, the derivatives. He should have wrapped up the zombie banks, put them through Chapter 11 bankruptcy reorganization, triaged all their derivatives, canceled them. Remember, shred, delete derivatives in the case of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And as we'll see in just a minute here, the fortunes of war, the Afghanistan war, will be a very bloody summer, I think, of defeat in strategic terms, if not tactical, as the U.S. goes into Kandahar province. U.S. strategic position in the Middle East collapsing very fast, even in places like Saudi Arabia and Egypt. And therefore, between the war front and the second wave of the Depression, it is likely that we will see a wave election against the Democrats in November. It's, I think, more than 50-50 chance that the Republicans will take back both houses of Congress against Obama and his people, and that this will not help Obama. Clinton made that into a kind of an advantage through his triangulation procedures, utterly unprincipled and dictated by Dick Morris, but still, there will be a great demand after this historic defeat that's coming in November. The incompetence and fecklessness of Obama's so-called leadership will become an issue in the Democratic Party. And the big question is, will there be a Democratic primary challenger to Obama in early 2011? And that, of course, will then make this birth certificate issue, the citizenship and qualifications for the presidency, that will open up that entire area of opinion. In other words, the people who have supported Obama, the left liberals in the past, are now extremely disillusioned, right? They're extremely unhappy. The more honest they are, the more open they are about that disillusion. At the same time, the Republicans, what's going on with the Republicans? Well, if you saw the Kentucky debate, you will have seen Rand Paul singing the praises of Guantanamo. Rand Paul thinks that Guantanamo is a great thing. We've got Peter Schiff, who says that the Depression is really not a catastrophe. It's an opportunity to take down the welfare state. In other words, take away people's Medicare, Medicaid, unemployment benefits, food stamps, and the rest of it, and leave them nothing but their eyes to cry with, while hedge fund hyenas laugh all the way to the bank. Peter Schiff also thinks that the United States should default on the public debt. Not good. A tragedy. That would be catastrophic for most Americans. We don't need to do that. The U.S. is not that far gone, despite the constant propaganda, the anti-American propaganda barrage from these, what can we call them, right-wing conservatives, reactionaries. You use your own term. Let's look, however, I had a chance to do a review now of the Karzai visit. You can see the commentary up on Russia Today and also at Tarpley.net. Karzai was in town. This was a very, very strained meeting. This was staged. It was stiff. It was tense, choreographed. It was not a happy meeting because, of course, you have Karzai hates Holbrooke, the U.S. czar for the region. Karzai rightly hates Eikenberry, the meddling U.S. ambassador. The only one that Karzai talks to is McChrystal. Remember that Karzai had alarmed Washington in late March by playing the China card and the Iranian card, slipping out of the U.S. Area. Remember, the Chinese come in with economic development and get support. The Iranians come in with religious, cultural, and other themes. They get support. The U.S. is left there with military power only and nothing but. And even the military power is now undermined by bankruptcy and by defeatism and war weariness on the home front. So we're 6 months from Obama's declaration of war against Afghanistan and Pakistan in the West Point speech at the beginning of December. Obama is now the biggest warmonger. He's got more troops in the field than Bush ever did. 90,000 in Afghanistan, 90,000 in Iraq, 180,000. They add in all the contractors, and it's much, much bigger. The goal of this war is the breakup of Pakistan. What they tried to do was to mount a show of cooperation. We're told that the Pentagon is very unhappy about how the generals were forced to be props in this meeting. Pentagon rage against Obama growing. Now, the big thing coming up is the U.S. big push into Kandahar to drive the Taliban into Pakistan and export that civil war. They also want to topple Karzai's brother, the CIA drug merchant. The Pentagon has a report showing that McChrystal's strategy is not working. Instead, Seymour Hersh, speaking at an investigative journalist convention in Europe, says the U.S. is now routinely executing prisoners on the battlefield, shooting them out of hand. Summary execution is your lot under the McChrystal strategy. Big focus on the Bagram Air Force Base, more atrocities reported there in the Abu Ghraib style. Looks like Karzai is going to get Bagram under his control, but still 100 civilians or so have been killed this year officially. Obama says the war will get worse. This is not working well. They only have 13, 14 months until July 2011 before Obama starts the pullout. He needs that pullout to avoid primary challenges against him in the Democratic Party as a warmonger, which, of course, he is. Therefore, he's going to want to get out, but may not work. Case in point, Iraq. The U.S. pullout from Iraq has now been delayed. It may be off for a long time. They say 1 month, but who knows how long. The combat forces were supposed to be out of Iraq by the 31st of August, supposed to be going to Afghanistan, most of them. But the U.S. is unable to impose a puppet government. They're unable to impose the puppet Alawi government on Iraq to make Iraq part of that anti-Iranian front that is the basis of the crackpot U.S. foreign policy, right? The idea of playing these other countries one against the other, the buck-passing strategy. It's not working because Maliki is now blocking with Muqtada Sadr of the Shiite Southern Euphrates Mahdi army to create a pro-Iranian regime, an Iranian puppet regime in Iraq. So they're freaking out about that. There's also a big pressure on Pakistan. Remember, this guy Kassab has now been given the death sentence. This is the Pakistani involved in the Mumbai bombing. He's somebody who worked for Headley, the DEA agent. So we'll get back to this in a minute. We're probably going to go to Britain in the next segment, but we'll be back to Afghanistan and the rest of the Middle East at the end. See you in a minute here on World Crisis Radio.